Hello, my name is Arthur, and in this video we're going to start putting together the background for our level. So what we're going to need to do that is a parallax background. I've already loaded the images into the project folder. On the parallax background, we'll need a parallax layer and a sprite. So the sprite is what's going to hold the background image. In offset, we'll uncheck centered, and then we're going to give it a minus y offset. So we'll go minus around 400 or 450. We'll go 450. That gets it right along the floor, so that'll work. In the parallax layer dialog, we have motion. So motion scale is how we get this to go across the screen as the player walks. So let's put on mirroring first. The mirroring value should be the resolution of the image. So it will be 1920, which is the resolution of the image. It could be made shorter than that, but I don't really see a reason to do that. With the gradient in this fashion, it mirrors quite nicely. That's why we need a even gradient, a straight gradient. We won't do any mirroring on Y, and mirroring on Y wouldn't work anyways, because if we were to do that, what would happen would probably not be pleasant. So let's just try 1080 and see what we get. That'll probably appear beneath, but we can see how the gradient would play out in the mirroring. So mirroring up and down is something that wouldn't really particularly be a good idea with this image, and it's not made for it. So we'll just play it the way that it is with the motion scale set to 1 to see what that means. So a motion scale set to 1 will make that background move at the same pace as the foreground. So it's more or less as though that is the most forward speed. And I suppose something faster than 1 would be even more forward than the tile set, but it's not really built to be used that way, I don't think. I'm sure we could create a foreground kind of thing to walk past, but I don't really think that the parallax background is really built for making foregrounds. So we're going to enter a value in here of 0.02. And we're going to enter the same value into y, 0.02. And then we'll see what we get from that. Now when we run, what we'll be looking for is a star behind the player, that it's getting a little bit further and further away at a slow pace. And that's what's happening. So we have the little bit of motion, and we can see that the background is sort of pacing with the player, but not quite pacing with the player, making it something that's very far away. Now, for the Y direction, I've built the map in a way, or the level in a way, that we can go up very high. And the background is following along with us. So we're up in a point now where in the editing port, we would be beyond the reach of the background graphic, but because of the motion scale, the background graphic is following us upwards. So we can go up pretty high without running out of background, because we're almost at twice the height of the resolution of the background up there. But the motion scale is sort of making the image come with us, but not quite. Sooner or later we would hit the top of that image, and the fact that it isn't mirrored would matter. So hopefully that gets an idea for the motion. We'll add in another parallax layer. We'll add in a child sprite, and we'll put the planet onto that one. We'll make it so it's not centered. We'll leave the values at default and just run and see what we get. So we get the planet behind us. Now let's go into motion and give it a mirroring value. We'll give it 2000. We'll probably never see the second planet on our level. Now we'll run and we'll see what we get. Now we're going to give it a motion scale of 0.07 and 0.07. We'll see if it's staying where it's at. Now it is moved. This is something I don't understand exactly why it works that way, but that's the way that it works. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to put in an offset to get that planet up in the air some. So I'm going to give it a Y offset of minus 250. Let's see where that ends up. Now the planet will be up a little bit higher, and it'll kind of follow along. And it'll do it at a slightly different pace than the stars in the sky, so as though it's a little bit closer. So we can see that we'll outpace the planet much faster than we outpaced the stars. And we'll be able to get the planet onto the other side of us, and we can see that it's moving at a different pace as though it's a little bit closer than the distant stars. And like I figured, this one planet there's not enough length on the level for the second planet to ever show. Now let's check our time to make sure I'm not going over time here. Okay. So we'll add in the third layer. Give it a sprite. That will be the clouds. We'll make that not centered. We'll give it a motion value. Its mirroring would be well, we have different choices here. Let's go with 1920, but we can experiment with other values as well. Like, we could experiment with something like an overlapping value, and then the sky would be all cloud cover. But I'm going to go with the 1920 and see how that works out. This one we're going to give a motion scale. Let's try something like 0.4. And I'm just guessing here. These are numbers that could probably stand experimenting. And then I can further guess that I'm going to want an offset value of, let's say, minus 300. That'll probably bring it up a little bit higher than the planet. So we'll just run that and we'll see what we get. So that kind of puts the planet, well, the clouds are up in the sky pretty good. They're moving at a different pace than the tile map, and they look like they're quite forward of the planet. So that speed looks like it works to me. And well, the clouds will be a little bit repetitive, and the artwork could use a little bit of work. Obviously, we only spent moments making those clouds, so they could be made nicer. But we're going to just go with the graphics we have here. In the next video, we're going to go and do a pickup. So that will be the next thing to add into our level, is a pickup. And until then, take care.